Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk. More Batman content, it's got to be said. It's good times. Another ranking video. This time it is Batmobiles from the live action movies. We've got 7 Batmobiles in total, and I'm going to rank them worst to best. But I'm not doing this alone. Once again, joining me in collaboration is Cody Leach. We are doing this together, a series of ranking videos, all Batman related. This is the next one on the chopping block. So once you have watched my video, assuming you haven't watched his already, go on over to Cody Leach and watch his ranking of all the Batmobiles. Batman's car is something that is just so indelibly tied to him that you couldn't do a Batman movie without the Batmobile. If there's Batman, there has to be a car. It's the thing that gets him fastest from one place in the city to another. It's very much a part of his identity as well. I think when you look at each and every one of these Batmobiles, it's an extension of his persona in many ways. Which sounds like a weird thing to say. It's just a car, but you know, like if you look at the movies, they are very much an extension of his personality. Worst to best, 7 Batmobiles. Here goes. At number 7 is the Batmobile from Batman and Robin, driven by George Clooney's Batman. It is as equally hideous, I would say, as anything in this film. The neon that is just erupting from every orifice of this vehicle is ridiculous. It is a huge toy commercial, basically, driving around on screen. It looks like a toy. When you look at it, it doesn't look like a car. It looks like a piece of plastic that is going to fall out of your Happy Meal when you go to McDonald's. It looks ridiculous. The flashing light on the front of it, the ridiculously oversized bonnet. As these movies kind of progressed, I swear the length and the size of the bonnet progressed with them. This looks ridiculous. It looks like it would not be able to steer properly, which I think is the main reason you only ever see it going forward in the movie. It's horrendous. Number 6 and number 5 are probably the closest calls for me. I do like both of these, but at number 6, I'm going to have to go with the 1966 Batmobile. Mostly because it is the one out of all of them that, with perhaps Pattinson's, it is the one that most looks like a car that anybody could kind of buy and just paint up to look like a, you know, stick a bat symbol on it, and so that's why, I guess. But that being said, it's still very iconic. I like it, and I will be driving it at some point. This Christmas just gone, I got a Christmas present off my wife, in which it's part of the Virgin Experiences thing. So I'm going to get to drive the '66 Batmobile, that should be fun. But that aside, it looks like the slowest, the bulkiest, the kind of I get the feeling when I drive this thing, it's not going to be that fast. Although hopefully it will feel nice to rev around the track. But what can I say? It's iconic in its look. You see it and it instantly transports you back to the '60s series. It's probably had more screen time than any other Batmobile because it was in every episode practically. It's a good 2-seater as well. You know, it's Batman and Robin's kind of car. They both sit in it. Whereas if you look at all these others, a lot of them they're very confined, very like built with just Batman in mind. It suits the show, is all I'll say. It's camp. It's over the top in a '60s kind of way, but does it look that fast? Unless you're speeding the footage up in the edit, no, not really. At number 5 for me is the Batmobile from Batman Forever, driven by Val Kilmer's Batman. I actually really like the design of this for the most part, except for that flipping fin at the back. That it's just like, And it comes apart, and I have no idea why. It's just like design for the sake of design. There's no functionality to it, and that's one of the problems with this Batmobile. It looks cool, except for that stupid fin. It looks cool. I love the rib work on the side where it looks like a rib cage, and you can see through to the inner workings of it. That design just there's something about that I really enjoy. It's almost HR Giga-esque. That is the problem with it, though, as well. As I say, I think out of all the Batmobiles, this is the one where, yes, it looks cool, but everything about it is there for the sake of design rather than functionality. I love how we have the little bat symbol on the wheels, and the wheel can turn around, but the bat symbol in the middle doesn't. That's just, again, it's really cool how they've done that. So like I say, everything about it, the design, the look of it is cool. It's really sleek. I just really hate that fin, and I also kind of dislike the fact that from a functionality perspective, it's probably, it's not really there, is it? Yeah. Lose that fin though, it's ridiculous. Number 4 for me is the Batmobile from the world of Zack Snyder's Batman. So Batman v Superman and Zack Snyder's Justice League. So this thing is a tank. It kind of feels like Snyder's version of what Nolan brought us in the Dark Knight trilogy. Just a huge cannon on it. It's a bit, whoa, it's a bit much for me. But either way, it's still a pretty good car. It's a good looking car. It's a tank, basically, you know, when it crashes through the boat and everything. It's just, for me, I feel like we've seen it already, that the whole tank kind of version of the Batmobile, and it was done better. And that being said, in the Nolan universe, the one we get in there, it's all practical as well. It was literally built. Whereas here, a lot of the stuff that's happening, there's quite a bit of practical stuff there, but there is a lot of stuff in there that feels like it's CGI as well. So while I think the car itself is definitely a great extension of Ben Affleck's Batman, you know, it's a beast. Ben Affleck's Batman is a beast. It's a suitable car for him. It's definitely suited to his personality. I just feel like could have done with seeing it more practically in action, like practical effects work in action, and less of the CGI around it and stuff. And as I say, I feel like we'd already been down the tank route, and I just happen to prefer the other one better. But number 3 is the Batmobile from the 1989 Batman and the 92 Batman Returns, directed by Tim Burton and starring Michael Keaton as Batman. This thing it was my first Batmobile, really. It was the first, you know, the Burton Batman movies are the things that got me into this character. And that car, for so many years, was just, that was it. That was the Batmobile to aspire to. It was a perfectly designed, perfectly looking car. It does suffer from some of the same problems of the 66 TV show, in the sense that the car underneath is not great. So it's quite slow, it's quite plodding. You can see that in some of the scenes where they've had to speed the footage up in order to make it look more ferocious and faster than it is. If you got into the real life version of this thing, it'd probably be more of a cruiser rather than a out and out, you know, speedster. But it does kind of fit the world that Burton created absolutely beautifully. You know, it's got that kind of 40s noir kind of feel about it, with the really overextended bonnet. But everything's in proportion. So it's not like Batman and Robin, where the bonnet's gone so big you wonder if the person in the seat can see past it. I love the way the canopy opens, and it kind of slides down the length of the bonnet so that Batman can get a quick exit. It's just, yeah, it's beautifully made. And then I like it as well, all the little traps inside it, the way it destroys Axis chemicals. It's a functional car. He does stuff with it. it's of more use to him than just simply getting from A to B. It had a huge impact on the design of the Batmobile from the animated series, which I'm not actually ranking in this because I'm just doing the live action movies. That would be very high though, I've got to say, if I was including it. Number 2 is the Batmobile from The Batman. That's it. Robert Pattinson's Batman gets to drive this beast, which is essentially just a muscle car. And that's kind of the one thing that kind of goes against it, really, is the fact that it looks like something out of Fast and Furious. Now, that being said, as has often, just in the past few days, as has often been said to me or asked of me, Bryan, when that Batmobile booted up in the Batman, did you wet your pants? And I gotta say, I almost did. That moment in film, if you're watching it in IMAX, and that moment when the Batmobile's engine kicks in and you literally feel your seats shuddering, it was, I let out a laugh. Like one of those kind of ecstatic, like, oh my word, this is such an amazing moment laugh. Like a smile just burst on my face, and it grew into a laugh that was kind of an uncontrollable moment of excitement for me as that blue flame erupted from its back end, and the roar of the engine kicked in. It was just, I want that car. I want it. And then you watch the scene play out, this car chase between Batman and the Penguin, and the way he's smashing through things and jumping over things. And it's just, yeah, it looks like a proper functional vehicle. I feel like if you take that car that they've used for the film and just got your hands on it, you could probably do everything in real life that they do with it in the film, and that for me scores big brownie points, because it adds to that feeling of, I could be Batman if I had the money, if I had if I could buy this car, I could be Batman. I could be out there right now driving that beast, because it's real, it's there, I've seen it, it does what it says it does on the tin. And it's just, it's great. It doesn't quite have the look that I would like a Batmobile to have, in the sense that, like I say, it is more of the Fast and Furious school of car building. But that being said, if you stuck this up against Dom's muscle car, Dom would get pasted. Batman would own his ass. So yeah, it's a great Batmobile, it really is. But of course, my number 1 is the Dark Knight trilogy Batmobile. It's one of the big things about Batman Begins, to be honest, that I absolutely loved and watched on repeat many times when I first got that film on DVD and then Blu-ray. Is that the car chase sequence, where this thing is a literal tank, but everything is done practical.
I gotta get me one of those.
What you're seeing, other than the jumps and driving on rooftops, obviously that's model work, you can't do that. But all the stuff where it's ploughing into vehicles, driving over stuff and crushing things, that's all real. They built it. They built it in the UK. They asked, sorry if you're American, I don't mean to do the whole UK versus US thing. The US guys said it couldn't be done. They brought it over here, and we built it. So that thing is a actual working vehicle that does most of what you see it do in the film, and what you see it do in the film is flipping cool. So that car chase when all the police cars are going after Batman and he's just like ploughing over stuff, I love it. It's great. It gets my adrenaline pumping every time. It's also got the design thing going for it. You know, yes, it looks like a tank. It's unconventional as far as Batmobiles go at this point in the movies. You know, like if you look at the movies that came before, it was a lot more of a sleeker kind of vehicle. This was a bit of an out-the-box choice that Nolan came up with. And when we first got the stills of it before the film was released, I was a bit like, oh, what is that? But it's when you see it in action. Once you see it in action and you see what it can do and you see that it's actually doing it, you're just like, I want that beast. I want that car. I want to drive it. I want to own it. I want it in my drive. And as I say, if you put this up against even Pattinson's muscle car, it would just make mincemeat of it. I love it. It's probably my favourite car in movies, if I'm being perfectly honest. It absolutely is. I can't think of a car in a movie that I like better than this. And it even got my mum excited. My mum loves Batman Begins because of this car. And whenever the scene comes on with the car where it's doing all its stuff, she's like glued. She loves it. But yeah, Nolan's Dark Knight Trilogy Batmobile, #1 for me. But what about you? How would you rank each of these 7 Batmobiles? Let me know down in the comments. Do check out Cody Leach's video, because as I say, we are doing this in collaboration with each other. Let us both know whose list you think is more in line with your own. And yeah, thank you for watching this video, and until next time, cracking.